Hello everyone, I'm back. Let's wait for that to go up and... so I can grab all the crew. Everyone! Okay, that's the second time I've used that one. Nice. Let's see who joins. Aha! We have a joiner. In that case... I'm just going to type it right. Hello! Now I can look at this one. No, it's not. Going to here, we can talk about stuff from Fight Camp. I can hopefully, when we've got a few of you around, let's get this up. So here's the video that I uploaded recently, but I can actually talk about the specific details of what's happening with the fighters and all that kind of stuff. Excuse me. And of course, any questions you guys have, I will answer them live. Just leave any comments here and, well, that can all get cracking, can't it? Right, so let's see what I'm seeing. That was an interesting exchange. Hang on. Because I think he did a... Hang on, I think I can have slower... Sure there was a... Whatever. There we are. So I've started, that's interesting. I've started my attack. I can't remember because there was something I did instinctively, but it's good to look at these things in hindsight. So I started the attack. I haven't actually moved my right leg yet. In fact, no. I actually didn't step with the attack, which is... It certainly was a less obvious attack, although he clearly parried it easy enough. Just went off to his side and caught it. Didn't do any sort of beat or anything, just literally put the sword away. Well, I did not realise I did this sort of thing. That's almost like a lunge. Except not extending leg, just sort of crouching. Now I tried a one-handed stab. Tried changing various positions. Trying to make sure he's not going to predict me. But he was, as you can tell, quite quick. There, in fact, I wonder, did I actually parry that? Or did he miss? So he tried that beat. It didn't really do much. Oh! Yes, extremely last minute, but there we go. And I tried that. And the hit's coming up in a sec, and I'll be back here. Yeah, I tried, what's it? Onto how? Which is basically sort of an undercut. It didn't surprise him as much as I thought it would. I was disappointed. And then, BAM! And yeah, I didn't notice at the time, but it seems I was actually cut on the arm. I whacked him in the leg. It'll come up in the slow-mo, you'll get to see it properly in a sec. Here we are, and BAM! I think I had good enough edge alignment. Not sure. But yeah, offhand cuts don't score. That was Well, suffice it to say, I was disappointed. Well, I was actually, you can see I'm moving in there, so I was intending an attack. But by the time I was starting my attack, he was already halfway through an N. He'd managed to move in to parry. Let's see if I can get. This is gonna be a gamble. I have no idea if this will work. Oh, no, he's not on yet. I know Leo would want to, probably want to join. Give it a whack. Right, there's only 2 of you at the moment, but we can still continue. But wait. It helps if you guys talk to me, because at the moment it's like I'm talking to a brick wall. So I think this is the one where I went into the Moulinet, is it? Yes! Oh, not the one that succeeded though. Yeah, so I tried to I'll see in a slow motion. BAM! We got each other. But here I'm thinking I'd swing in from my left. He'd probably try to parry. I was going to use it whether I contacted his sword or not. I didn't mind. I was going to go around in what's called a Moulinet, which is boom. And I thought I could, well, because I couldn't get enough well, the momentum was going, I couldn't really turn it into a cut a different direction, so I just carried on for the same angle. He then parried. But then I realised, aha! I had returned, I'd swung all the way through in a parry, ended up in this, which is called long tail. Basically a sword is, well, a bit like a tail, behind me, and I thought, I know! I'll cut up at him, that'll catch him by surprise. I was right, but yeah, he hit me at the same time. If I'd reacted quicker and realised this sooner, with better reactions, I probably would have gotten away with it. Reaction speed is definitely a useful trait. So we've got joiners. Okay, so anyway, let's continue with the rest that I had. Actually, I can always, once I've gone past this video, I can talk about other fights I've had and things I could have done better and worse. And also an overview of the techniques. Now, here we are. I immediately, this is why I was staying out in stuff like long point, or in this case the short point, which is this stance here, a bit like you see people in, what's it called? No, not jiu-jitsu. The samurai equivalent of the sort of sport fencing. It'll come to me eventually. Kendo, that's the one. They stay in this sort of thing. It's good for defending, but I also like to extend it out into a long point. More into a short point, that sort of stance. Also known in the Italian sources as posta breve. Because I wanted him to go, oh look, I know, I can beat him out of the way, and then I'll hit him. Yes, what a clever man I am. So he fell for it. By that time you can see, well, I had already pulled the sword out of the way. So there he is. Oh look, tempting. And look at that. Fell for it. But the problem is I hadn't accounted for the fact that even if he didn't get that feedback, he'd still instinctively go for the next action, which is a cut. And then this happened. We got each other. Miss, hit. Yeah. Bloody doubles. This is why people keep going on about it in historical European martial arts, what are called doubles and afterblows, where one person has hit, but so has the other person, and chances are you're both dead. or gravely injured. It's embarrassing, but it happens. Excuse me, it's worth acknowledging. You see in movies, they sometimes have like some person receive a mortal wound and they go, oh yeah, and then they stab the person back in vengeance, but a lot of the time that just happens, it doesn't happen, you know, 30 seconds later after a chat over a cup of tea. It happens at the same time, or you know, about a second later. I really need to get better with the window guard. So I'm changing between left and right, because some people are used to people trying to swing at them and hit from the right, but they have no idea what to do against an attack from their from the non-dominant side. So try to mix it up. But I did use a long point a lot. Let's see it. Hang on. Oh, no, I'm falling for his feints. I even did that thing. That's a bad habit of mine. I went in. This is a parry against an attack that I thought he's supposed to be doing now. I thought, I know, I'll close in and he'll hit me. Or try to. Which is why I'd catch on the sword, go around and hit him. What a perfect plan. Except he didn't. So instead, excuse the floppy swords, they're the training ones, but yeah. It meant that because he didn't fall for that, he only reacted to the real attack I did. Same thing again, I parried sort of in advance. But I think I get him at this point, because I feint around with the distance enough that I... Let me see, hang on. Yeah, here we go. Gotcha! It was really risky because at any point, I mean, let's show that again. Look at how close we are! It would take one cut or one movement. If he'd reacted from, say, there to this non-threatening action and hit me, he would have gotten a free one. In fact, if the one-handed, one-handed hits, as I had seen earlier, weren't allowed, but if he was allowed, he could have gone into his left hand, whacked me in the leg, and retracted out of distance. Just needing to be careful of this sword trying to come for his face. Hang on, I'm just going to check enable live chat. Yeah. Just see if that resets it. Just in case. Oh, hang on, I can do. Thing open. Anyway, I am distracting myself. So anyway, back to our fight. Yeah, there we are. Obviously, despite me getting into a dangerously close range, it seems, from what I'd gathered from this fight, I was expecting, because he's very light, you know, he's very quick, and sort of almost instinctively just hits out, I thought I could do all of this, you know, the feinting and stuff to draw him and lure him into some sort of attack or defence. And in the end I realised, oh wait, no, you know, instead of him like that again, he did react, but it wasn't really much. I thought he'd actually really try to hit out. That's why actually, it's just about here. You can see me doing this. I'm actually doing a parry here, because I was thinking in my head, as soon as I move into range, he will just hit at me. And I thought, I better get that sword up in advance, rather than wait for it to be too late. But it didn't happen. I was going, oh, okay, I'll hit you then. And I got his hand. It's interesting, you get some opponents, like I said, I'd be into that range, he'd think, oh, I'll hit him, whack. But he didn't. So I went, oh, he's that type, is he? Well then, I'll hit you instead. Cheers. Yeah, I was able to do it because I was up here in that sort of parry. Let's go back to it again. you can see I was already kind of halfway there. I didn't have to move as far. Didn't have to move all the way from here. I was up here in that advanced parry. So all I had to do was rather move the point from back here on the shoulder or somewhere, or down here behind me, and swing all the way around and hit his hands. I was here, halfway there. It's not going to be as powerful. I don't imagine it would sever fingers, but that would be a nasty wound. Cut you open. And I thought, okay. Boop! Gotcha. Because it's sharp. Don't need to smash them. Just need to do a little nice little cut. Hey! You can chat now. I'm going to say it and type it. So why did that come up twice? I haven't a clue. That was... Ah. Very quick next round. So... trying to bait with long point again. Bit of a repetitive habit. He's not falling for it anymore because he knows... Yeah. I felt that on the way and I thought, bugger. Here it is, slow motion. I tried to cut up. The idea was, when I was going here and I swung past him, I was hoping to cut up into his arms or even into his sword, which would, 1, possibly hit him, but also, most importantly, 2, put my sword in the way. But clearly my aim was off, and I just scraped his little martial jacket while he got a free hit on me, which was on the right forearm, it looks like. So I just thought, oh, bugger, he got me. Yes, I could do with better accuracy. This is why I don't thrust much, because I could do a perfect thrust, unexpected, oh, brilliant, and it won't actually touch them, I think. Well, there's no point trying to put the point through someone if it's going to stab the air instead. Yeah. That time, yeah, despite being a Furist, I think I didn't have my hands low enough. And of course, because I was in this position already, he kind of knew where I was going to parry, rather than seeing me move from outside into there, and him having to guess. He could see it. Here's where the blade is. Here's where the hands are. So I idiotically left him that opportunity to go, boop! And look at that, he didn't even leave much to chance. He didn't go for my upper hand, which is closer. He actually went for my bottom hand. So there's even less chance of me parrying him. Smack! Free hit. I didn't do anything to him in return. And that was the end of that fight. This was against Mark Gilbert. Important note, this guy won gold, so I don't exactly feel any shame in losing to him. Whoops. Let's see. Yeah. Excuse me, just checking the live stream's going okay. So anyway, it's interesting because he had his. We notice here, he has his right foot forward. Now as a right-handed fencer, clearly. Normally, if you're looking at I-33 or the weird Bolognese garbage, you know, all those sorts of things, where they have the sword and the shield sort of tied together, or whether they use them sort of separately. Normally, if you're right-handed, you'd start with your left foot forward, right foot back. But for some reason, this guy, it was good to sort of feint the distance and deceive me as to how close or far away he was, because he had the, I'd call wrong, but not necessarily wrong, foot forward. Really confused me. Like there, I thought he was out of measure, but he hit me. Bam. Didn't even see it coming. There he is again. And he is starting with the sword slightly extended, which is interesting because it's quite risky. It would make sense for something like Highland backsword and Taj, because you could just have, you know, a basket hilt covering the hands, so that acts as a shield, and then the actual shield covering your left. So you've got this side. This was something I learnt in Scottish backsword and Taj. You get the sword covers your right, it goes in thirds. Sword covers your dominant side, the shield covers your non-dominant side, and then if anyone goes underneath for your legs, you're just supposed to pull the leg out of the way. Like in this case, if I was cutting his leg, he'd pull his right leg back, chop me in the face for the trouble. So it seems to be the kind of thing he's doing here, but it looks so risky. And indeed, I did try a couple of times to see if I could carve up his sword hand, but it failed. Probably because he's got over 30 years of experience. He's used to people doing that. There it is again. Alright, we did... yeah, I got an afterblow. He whacked my hand as I was bearing down. Caught him. To be honest, actually, I was going to say it would have been better if, at the time, he'd extended that buckler out. Actually, it might have worked, because although I hit him on the other side, where his shield would not necessarily cover, if both hands were touching, and his sword were, well, his buckler rather, had its edge just up here, it might have caught my sword instead of his hands. Maybe. It's one of the reasons why I like stuff like I-33, because that sort of tight action, as I call it, it makes a lot of sense to just cover your hand while you strike, even if you haven't got a clue what you're doing with the shield. Well, there I am trying to feint. He didn't fall for it. Yeah, even if you're not actually doing anything fancy with the shield, if you just put it where your sword hand is, it stops you from getting chopped to pieces while you're attacking. It's a nice lazy man's way to fight. Another feint which he didn't fall for. I'm experimenting from an iron door. No, again, trying different feints. And then, last couple actually were real attacks. So that's feinting. Nope, he didn't fall for it. Feint. Obviously another one. That time, actually, yeah, I remember what I was thinking then. I was trying to see if I could get a cheeky cut on his hand. Missed. Yeah. Try another hit on the hands, and again. But it should be noted that when he's in that position, he is in a bit like Fiore's crown guard, which you actually have raised aloft, like a crown on your head. But the point is you're supposed to have the quillons horizontally, like he's doing. Which is why, on each of those times, if we go back again, each time I'm trying to hit him, and you can see he couldn't immediately, you know, if he didn't turn his hand at all, he couldn't bear down without just doing a slap with the flat. It makes his attack slightly slower, but he can go out there, and even when I didn't miss him, here's a good one that's going to happen, I think. I do beat, didn't work. And here, quillons are still horizontal. I should have hit his hands, didn't. Brilliant. And again, quillons are out. You can't see it as well from this angle, it's dead on pointing at the camera, but from my perspective they're horizontal, so it's always keeping his hands covered. It's not as good as a basket hilt, granted, but it's certainly the best defense you can manage. And then obviously I tried a really bad attempt at a zwirch, and here it is. I tried to feint above, he didn't fall for it, then a real attack from below, manoeuvring using my bottom hand, not the top hand. Yeah, slipped past his buckler and then he whacked me. Boom, boom. He didn't actually hit me on the head, he ended up catching me on the arm, but yeah, I still performed badly then. I do need to practice switches better. Hit and miss, really, in the literal and metaphorical sense. So I'll try and guard a lady, because he's not had that from me yet. And a falcon. See how he reacts. That's on the shoulder. Whoop. Yeah, tried an offside cut because I thought, I know what would catch him off guard. Here I am. Go down. Usually, from this position, your version of Vom-Tag from the roof, people would attack from their dominant side. I thought, I know. I'd slip it past my head and catch him on the other side. Haha, clever me. It didn't work. That's the long and short of it. Simple attack, see how he'd react, see if I could parry. Nope. He wasn't reacting until he found an opportunity to cut my hand. Excuse me. He parried in a bit like Guard of St. George in Sabre. Bit risky when you've got no basket hilt, but it seems to work for him. Then he went out into an outside guard. Parry! Again, those bloody quillins, horizontal, blocking his hand from getting cut open when they should be. And then he hit me. And oh! I was looking for an afterblow, but he controlled the distance. And it missed! He immediately cut my hand. I didn't see it coming. Boom. I mean, I caught it on a quillins, but it went a little bit past and cut over. Fair dues. That's good. Well, we've got people over again. I am the Genie, so the whole idea is I can make requests about videos and things that I can just, you know, talk topics and about tests and the rest. And also leave your, you know, questions and whatnot. I can answer them to the best of my ability. So anyway, and that's a version of ground right there when I do this loot, except I'd have it higher. There I tried a feint. I thought, ha, I'll do a moulinet, which is that little twirly thing with the hand, and then a real hit. But the first time, he didn't fall for it at all. He just backpedaled a little bit, just in case. And then the second time, missed. But I saw an opportunity. I have very slow reactions, so you see me kind of stop and go, oh wait, I can do this. Like there, I'm going, what's happening? Oh, I know, I'll hit him. Oh, I've been hit. Damn. I mean, you could say, oh, in a real fight, you hit his head and he only hit your leg. Or, but it's a double. Even if I had killed him in a real fight, he's cut my leg open. That could be an artery, or I'd be hobbling along the rest of my life. I like hits that you don't get hit back. But yeah, it's surprising he didn't actually put his shield up in advance. If what he could have done is... Oh, actually, yeah, never mind. He did put his shield up. He put it over to his other side, to his sword side, and lifted it above his head. But for some reason, when he did the cut down at me, he dropped it again, and that's why I hit him. So he had the idea, but for some reason he just forgot to leave it up there. There we go. Guess those things happen sometimes. Yeah, summary right there. Up in the high falcon. And that's me trying a proper switch. So I've gone from a Fiore stance, which is... well, I've gone down to Iron Door, I think. Yes! This, with the sword sort of out across, that's the Iron Door. And I thought, I know, I can go... whoosh, immediately take a line from here to his face. So I did. Like that. As a feint. But he didn't fall for the feint. He just sort of stayed there, which is annoying. And then I did the real attack. Bam! It hit his buckler. And then I tried again, and I missed. Look at this. Let's go through that again. First one, feint. He didn't react. Second attack, real one. He parried. And then the third attack. He put his buckler out and he kind of... I think he might have guided it slightly. But he also... he did a saber thing and he closed his legs up as well, which meant he didn't get chopped up on that, I think. Interestingly, if he'd actually cut at me... I mean, look where his sword is primed. He could have gone, pop, on my head. But he didn't notice at the time. Try from the left. Nope, feint didn't work. He didn't fall for any of my feints as far as I can tell. Not a single one. But I did fall for his one. It was interesting, interesting one though, because as you can see, watch, he goes, huh! He's going, haha, and I went, oh no, he's hitting me above. Went for the parry. But the thing is, when I'm usually at sparring and people do that as a real attack, it's my instinct where I go, bah, for that parry, and then hit their head. So I just did that motion instinctively, because I've rehearsed it time and time again. So even though I didn't feel it touch my sword, ha ha ha, I went for it. Went, whoa! Oh, he's lower. I'll hit him in the head. Bam! But he did cut my leg in the meantime. So he had a good idea. Again, if he had his shield above covering his head, in both of those instances, he would have gotten away with it. But I think he was used to me trying to cut. I mean, it might have been maybe he just needed to stay more upright, because then I would have been aiming for his shoulder area, and the shield would have blocked it. But because he crouched and did an old habit that I used to do, I guess, I mean, I'm theorising here, that's why I hit him. Yeah, riposted as I always do. So that was the end of that. But yeah, he did very well. Like I said, he went on to win gold. So he's damn good. I think this is the person I did the best against. But again, we're still talking about people who are pretty good against me. It didn't help that they all seemed to understand my Fiore nonsense. Usually, they're there going, oh no, I switch and do all that German crap, and he's not raising his hands like everybody does. What is this blasphemy? But I don't do that. I keep my hands low. But these guys too do so as well. So, yeah, there we are. That was a nice one. We get to see that in slow motion in a sec. So he went, haha, look, it's long point. He went, I know, I'll beat his sword out of the way. Haha, you missed. And he's thinking, what? Bam. Hit him. Yeah, I love it. Baiting people with long points and they go, oh no, what's this? I'll hit it out of the way. And then the sword point's gone by that point. As you've seen, it's had varying degrees of success. And against more experienced foes, less success. Actually, one of my... I got hit on the head on the way in. Yeah, one of my favourite things to do... Let's just show that for a minute. There we are. Yeah, one of my favourite things to do against very new people is have the point out in long point. So sort of sticking out around here, let's say. And then this new person thinks, oh no. They see the point of the sword and get so scared, and they flail out and try to swing and smash that sword out of the way. So I just go, whoop, drop the point. They flail off into the sunset. Raise the point again. Stab. It's worked very beautifully in the past. Nobody here fell for it though, because they're actually good at what they do. Yeah, I got hit on the way in. Did a failed parry. So here it is. I'm attempting a sloping parry. But I think I just did it too late, essentially. So I got hit. Or it might have been actually... bam. Might have been that when we had that bind, usually I go around and strike from the other side. But for some reason we ended up with our swords quite tied up. Might have been that in going around, me trying to hit him and him staying bound, he might have hit my head on the way out. I'm not sure, but I know I felt something hit me. Oh! Hit my leg? Okay. Yep, that was me attempting the exchange of thrusts. A fury move. So I saw, ah, he's in this, he will probably stab. Yeah, it's here. Here we are. So I'm intending to go take these quillons out, either to this side or to that side, and basically just keep my sword as a bar either on this side or on this side. There you can see me try to go off to this side. I was aiming to go like that, and then have the point go towards him. You can see, yeah, he made me miss past him. You'll see it in a moment. Yeah, it made me miss because he did a, I would say almost like a beat, but a sort of parry. His sword point is vertical, I've been pushed off to the side. He controlled me because he has the forte, the strong, the bit of the sword close to his hand, controlling me, whereas I was more on my weaker part. And then he was able to slice along and cut me open. If it was a sharp one. Yeah. He did a draw cut. Yeah, sword and shield is good. Oh, and thanks, hacking. But yeah, for sword and shield work, there aren't many sources for it, so it makes sense there aren't many people who do it. But when I was at fight camp, I bought a sword. Well, I bought a Federschwert, which is a two-handed sword, but I also bought a shield. Ooh, excuse me. Oh yeah, I remember this one. But yeah, I've got it here. It's here next to my crossbow. So yeah, that is, you can only hear it, but it's my Taj I got from Kindred Willow, one of the guys who does Scottish backsword. He had a stand selling pillows with Talhofer on them and Fiore. And other paraphernalia, including shields. Basically Taj shields. Anyway, let's go to this next fight. I think this is where I tried the Rabat or whatever it's called. Yeah, here we are. My plan was, he swings with a Fendente Oberhau, whatever you want to call it, a normal attack. I then bring my sword up because I was... let's go back a little bit. I'm in this stance, which is called Boar's Tooth. Good for thrusting at people, and also good for bringing a sword up with its back edge. In this case, rather than using the back edge to cut immediately, I tried to do it as a sort of... a bit like a beat, but rather than beating against his sword and smashing it away, I sort of carry it along in the same direction that it goes, but carrying it over my head. I was too early though. But I had the chance to hit down his head. We'll see it in slow motion in a sec, and close up. Here we are, so he does that. As you can see, I have raised it way too early. I did the same motion, so by this point, his sword should be here, bound against my quillons, and I've controlled him. He's obviously hit me though, because I was too early. And then the next move I instinctively do, which is bear it down on them. Again, it's like earlier, because I've rehearsed the move so much, even though I failed, I still, because I've instinctively done it and I've rehearsed it so much, I had the opportunity to basically do the same thing again. I just bear the weapon down on them, even though the parry has failed. So I'm doing those moves without having to think about them, so it allowed me to get an afterblow, even though the initial parry failed, rather than sitting there thinking, oh no, I've been hit. So it's interesting, but obviously I'd rather make a successful parry and not die. There we go. So yeah, you got a free hit. There he is, an iron door. He switches to Boar's Tooth. And that's going to be a double. I've decided to smite him on the hands, and he's stabbing me in the belly. And there I was thinking of a Zwirch afterwards. I was thinking, if that doesn't work, I'll then go underneath and cut him. But I kind of did it half-hearted because I realised I'd been hit, and he's probably been hit, so I just gave up midway through doing it. Here you can see it again. Bam! Yeah, this happens a lot, actually. What I should have done is something I've done before, which is close up the legs to shorten my... well, to pull me a bit further away, and almost sort of bend forwards. So it's kind of pulling my belly out of the way. It's something I've seen in Fiore's treatises against daggers. And you bring your hands down onto the dagger, and you actually sort of pull your belly back, so you sort of bend over to bear down on them. But I didn't do that, I remained upright. So I got stabbed. But yeah, it would have worked potentially against a thrust from a sword as well. Bending forward to give me that extra little bit of reach so he just barely misses. And then in the meantime I can just chop down with the sword in the same way I actually did. And this is the final exchange. Next up I'll probably go to the Steel Saber, because Saber's different to Longsword, and I realise that we've been using plastic swords instead of steel ones. Yeah, I tried to feint, but he was just charging in. Oops, he's just one Tim. But yes, right, so next up I will look at... so that was Fight Camp. I've got it all just archived basically. Oh, excuse me. Longsword. So that's February, that'll be plastic swords. Might be this one? No, that was me versus a work friend of mine called Ben. How many swords? Foam swords. I know you're here somewhere. Okay, it's going to do that thing again. Bear with me. But in the meantime, if you have any questions or comments, I would love them. Because at the moment there are only 3 of you watching. It's good to have a bit of a proper discussion rather than me just yakking at the camera. Because I'm not very good at that. Right, let's try again. Nope. So it's after 30th of July, so it'd be early August. Ah, this was me with Steel Longsword. So this is me against a guy called Tim, I think. Or was it Ben? Green jacket is Tim. Yeah, so I'm teaching him this time. You can see I do a few feints and things. Check his reactions. So there I'm baiting him with long point because I know he's very reactionary. So I deliberately... Yeah, there we are. I saw that thrust coming because you kind of pulled back. Yeah. Like I said, he pulled back, so watch the thrust again. See here. Yeah. He starts in what's called plow in German, and he kind of twitched a bit. He had his point a bit lower. So here he is. I know he's not attacking. Watch the point of his sword just as he's about to attack. See, it's a tell. Oh! Boom! And then I did a very easy... the type of parry I did there... Notice I'm starting here, in iron door. Now, rather than try to swing really hard and do all sorts of things which would take half a year to do, I just basically turned with my hands, so rather than sort of bringing my whole body around, I just do a little twist, I push down with my bottom hand, and push up with my top hand, and just turn the sword in, so that basically it'll be on my left, and the sword point will be upright. Watch now. Boom. So that's just happened. And you can see, immediately after I've done that, oh look! It's a bit like that H.E.M.A position, where the sword's on your shoulder, and you can go... Whoops. Oh, I've just moved it. Oh, perfect. Bam! Yeah. So I hit at him. I saw that thrust coming because you kind of pulled back. And I sort of I'm talking a lot because this is a sort of teaching-based sparring. I wasn't trying to show off how good I am. I'm more trying to say to him, you know, I'm seeing this happening, so he knows what I'm thinking as the opponent, rather than him just being left to guess. There, I did a feint, so I'm starting here in a sort of H.E.M.A version, or Falcon, swords high. I feint, as if I'm going to use the... I think it's the inside edge. One of the edges to cut down at his head, but it's a fake. I turn my hands and whack, got him in the elbow, I think. Because I know he's quite susceptible to feints as well, so I was deliberately doing those. Not to be cruel, but because I wanted to specifically make sure... And that was a good thrust on him, actually. I failed a sloping parry and it went into my chest. But, yeah, I was doing a lot of feints because I know that this particular person was quite reactionary. And I thought if I could train him out of being susceptible to feints, that would make things better. What was I doing? Went for the parry in advance. Ah, yep, I know what was happening there. So, we look at this. You can see he's in a sort of from the roof H.E.M.A as it's called. So it's on his shoulder. And that means I'm predicting he's going to cut down with a standard cut one, as they call in Saber, Oberhau, Fendente, whatever you want to call it, a normal attack where he goes chop. Either straight, downwards, or sort of diagonally from right to left. You know, the normal sort of cut. I saw it so much in advance that I did this. I parried. I did the one of... well, I wouldn't say it's a golden rule, but I basically broke one of the rules of things you shouldn't do. I parried in advance. I did it so early, and yet it worked, because I knew he was going to do that cut, and he did, right on cue. He's cut from the right, which is my left. I parry, I riposte. I figured from that position you do a Fendente at me, so I just went for the parry in advance. See? I say it there. I figured he'd do it, so I just went for the parry in advance. Why should I have to react at the last minute? I can just put the sword there. Done. That time, I did a boo-boo. I reacted badly, so I saw him doing that. It wasn't even a feint. I think he was just kind of wobbling as he was moving into position. I thought he was attacking me, and then I did hooah! I did that thing like I did in the tournament. I tried to do a carry-on type of defense. And then he hit me, which was quite good. I mean, I'm not just going to sit here and say, haha, beginner, this guy's an idiot. Because he's not. He actually did very well here. He saw that I'd moved and wasn't a real threat. And then he just punished me. I don't know if it was a thrust to the chest. I think he chopped into my hand. And yeah, I said, brilliant. It was good to see him punishing my mistakes as well. Oh, he did a swirch. So he was thinking, right, here he is in long tail. Cut up. He didn't actually do much commitment with the actual sword point, so I didn't fall for it as much, but he did the leg work. He kind of stomped a bit, which tricked me, because that's one of the ways you can feint. You can kind of lurch with your body. Excuse me. So here it is again. There. He kind of did a shuffle step, so he moved his foot out there, and he closes in with this foot on the outside. And then, when I've reacted, oh! He does the real attack. Bam! I don't know if he actually got me, but it was very nicely executed anyway. That time we were... if you have a look here... As you can see, I'm quite close. I thought, oh, I'm quite close. There's only a very little bit of distance between me, at my point, and his hand. So I probably shuffle step with a little lunge. Yeah, there we are. I actually did a boo-boo by stepping my foot sideways. It should be pointing towards him. But either way, I extended from about here to here, just a few inches forward, in a partial lunge, and that was enough to go chop, and I cut him right there on his hand. It caught me on the head on the way in, but you can see a slight demonstration of what I'm supposed to be doing in those little rabats there. It's a little bit hard to see because of the lighting, apologies. But here, I have taken my point. My hands are still low because I don't want to put them in the way and get chopped up or stabbed in them. But I put the sword point vertical and bring it around like a windscreen wiper. It's a bit like the crumb pow, as they call it, but in reverse. In the crumb pow, they bring the sword around like a windscreen wiper from one side to the other, around and down, to beat the point down. In this case, I'm actually sweeping up. And his sword point is here. He did catch my head, but it was supposed to keep it around here, safely out of the way, and then bam! Yeah, as you can see, it's a nice straight line. Bring it down on his head and draw. It wouldn't work with something like a poleaxe or something that requires impact, because I wouldn't make a proper hit. But it's perfectly acceptable with a sword because I can just bring it down, place it on his head, push, and go slice. Speaking of habits and weaknesses, what am I prone to doing? Well, there was the parrying in advance, which I actually do in sparring a little bit, which is a bit naughty. I should actually leave a parry to the latest moment possible. Apart from that, I stay in long point a lot. I use it to feint and to draw people out, but sometimes it becomes a bit obvious. Did a thrust and I did a cut. Also, I like hitting the hands a lot, which means people can predict that. Here I am. See how I pulled your attack in advance? Not mine, Reader. I just saw your body. See some of my bad habits in a minute. Yep. I love the hands. Yes, hand hit. Good one. Hitting the hands. Which means that people know if they keep their hands well protected, they're going to stop 90% of the things that I'll do. Don't have to worry about the old Gerslag or whatever it's called, some strange attack. Yeah, there's stuff like that as well. The one-hand thrust I like. That's one of my old favourites as well, because it gives me more reach. And since I'm short at 5'7", I need all the reach I can get. So, here I am. Oh, you're safe, aren't you? And then watch this. Ja! Gotcha. So that's fine. That's not a bad habit. Unless people see what's going to happen. Of course, if you one-hand your weapon, you don't have proper control. So if they beat it or grab it or something, you're screwed. Absolutely screwed. You have to run.
That's what he says. There's not a lot of padding there. No, that's not at all ironic. That is absolutely appropriate. Ironic to your most padding.
Yeah, here we are. I'm in long point again. It's good. Yeah, see, I did exactly what I say I like to do. Long point. He falls for the bait. Does what a beginner does. Tries to beat the sword out of the way. Because it's definitely a threat. Even though it isn't. Oh, drop the point. He misses. I go around with a moulinet. Smack. And I made a last minute withdrawing step because I realised he's still trying to hit me.
So I simply pulled my point out of the way and got you.
Yeah.
Yes, good handling.
Hand hits. See, I told you I love hand hits. I used to have a very bad habit of ducking, actually. It was quite hilariously ironic because I got a back of the head protector, which is a thing you see me I've covered over in chainmail and done that myself with the rings and some stitching. But you see, I actually bought that back of the head protector because I was keeping on getting hit in the head and it was hurting a lot because the mask doesn't cover it. By the time I actually bought the thing, I actually had gotten out of the bad habit of ducking and bending forwards. And these days I actually remain upright more. So that used to be a bad habit, but not anymore. Another bad habit of mine is I don't move enough. You'll see me, I mean, I'm good at holding my ground and not just running forwards or backwards into things and falling for feints in that way. But it sometimes falls the opposite way. I'm being so patient and sort of staying there that I don't actually move. So a lot of techniques which work brilliantly with stuff like offline steps, you know, stepping around your opponents as you hit or parry, all of that stuff becomes a lot more difficult because I'm not actually moving properly. Again, watch how I'm barely moving here. Okay, that was okay movement, but it was very forwards and backwards. Again, forwards and backwards, no offline steps. Staying almost still here. He's moving around. I'm just adjusting my position to meet him. There we are. Yeah, he hit me because I moved, but by the time I'd actually done it, it was already too late. There we are, moving late again. Let's have a look. Oh yes, in my experience of sparring with people of different skill levels, have I come across someone of some bizarre or unorthodox methods? Oh yes, let's go back to the fight camp footage, because I've got a perfect example right here. Not him, second person. This guy, Mark Gilbert. Yeah. Right, time to reset. There! That's something unorthodox right there. He is right-handed. Now, if you look at the stuff you'd see in treatises, basically his sword is positioned on his right. So normally that would mean his left foot is forward and his right foot is back. Notice I've got the sword on my left, right foot forward, left foot back. If I move into something like here, there we are, I'm in a falcon. I mean that's in the middle, so either leg works, but at that point I've got left foot forward, right foot back. I'm down here in Iron Door, the sword is on my right, so now I definitely need to have left foot forward, right foot back. But this guy, haha, rules are for losers, right? Because he's got his sword on his right, but his right foot's forward. I mean, funnily enough, it's actually the opposite in Saber, because you're supposed to extend the sword forward at all times. And have it... Well, I'll show you in a minute with other footage. But yeah, it's very unorthodox, because he's got his, what would be considered, wrong foot forward. I mean, it's not explicitly written down in rules or anything to say it's the wrong foot, but when you look at the treatises and what positions they have with medieval and Renaissance weapons, almost exclusively, if the sword is on your right, your left foot is forward. If your sword is on your left, your right foot is forward. And that applies to left-handed people or right-handed people. It's just what side the sword is on. Like I said, here, the sword is on my right, so my left foot is forward. If I move back into something like, here we are, Boar's Tooth, or now I'm in Window, the sword is on my left, my right foot is forward, left foot is back. Or otherwise I'm kind of twisted around and awkward. But this guy... This guy! Look at that, you can even see I did a quick shift because I'd moved to a different side. This is a plough on my left. He still hit me! I'm following those rules. I mean, I did get a catch on his hand, but... Here he is again. So you can see in the handedness and footedness. Right, so I'm doing sloping. Whoop. Iron Door, left foot forward. And when I cut from my right, okay, feint. Just do a shuffle step because I'm extending my sword over so it's going to be on the left after the cut because it's a cut from the right. So I only needed a shuffle step because my right foot was already forward. Now I've swapped again. Shuffling to adjust. And there you can see I went, as I swung, here. When I do the cut, watch. Here it is, I'm going to attack. So, currently, my sword is on my right, left foot forward, right foot back. As soon as I've executed the beat that I'm trying to do, bam, you can see at the same time I've swapped my feet. My right foot is now forward, my left foot is now back. And at that point I did a boo-boo. You can see I'm kind of awkwardly twisted across myself. That's because I didn't put my left foot forward again. I stepped the first time correctly from what I'd consider to be the sort of style I have, but I did my style incorrectly on that second swing because I should have then stepped again with my left leg. I didn't. Which is why I kind of stumbled. You actually see it there. This is why we recommend it, because here we are. Good. See, swapped feet. Bad. You'll see I kind of stumble again. And I didn't do a very good hit from there. Whereas I did on that attempted switch, but my handiwork was bad rather than my footwork. So yeah, there's an example of very unorthodox. Twisting, yeah. Twisting your body and not stepping, because I focused on cutting rather than footwork. I guess to a degree. I mean, the whole point is really it should all be instinctive and should work together, so it's like it's a thing that we do in test cutting. Let's bring up some test cutting footage. You'll see me do it. Test cutting, those are the weird cuts. Multi-cut one's nice. I have one. Okay, that time I'm doing it a bit like a saber. So my right foot's forward. What does it be like using one of these? That's right, a saw. So here I am. Obviously you can't see my feet in a picture, but you can see my leg positioning. So I've got my left foot forward, right foot back, and then I did actually step late here, but you can see by the time I finished... Oh, I didn't actually. Huh. I have defied myself, probably because I knew I was going to do a double cut. So I basically, instead of stepping once, twice, and walking into the target, I stayed where I was. But that is a bit unorthodox. So yeah, obviously these aren't strict rules. You can sometimes break them. Again, wow. Obviously big cut here. Here. Last cut. Here. See if I do it here. Yes. I did on that first cut, so... Again, I did a late step. My face. Anyway. There we are, I've stepped, so now my left foot forward. That time I twisted. Do I step? No, I didn't, because I'm expecting this cut. It's something that works best, I guess, against an opponent. Actually, I do remember one good example I did. Apologies, that's the toilet flushing. PC Genie's intro, version 3, from my very intro. Again, Jonathan, also known as the PC Genie. So there's that clip again. Here. So, this is from test cutting in Swords and Cider 2017, I do believe. Now, I start here in long tail. Sword point low, it's behind me like a tail. Left foot is forward, right foot is back. If I remember rightly, I sort of, I go and chop up into a falcon, which is in the middle, which is really useful because when it's in the middle like that, either your left foot or your right foot can be forward because it's not in any particular side. Right? So I'm raised into it. That's where I am here. I have already stepped at this point, so when I do my next cut, which brings my sword to my left, I don't need to step anymore because I've done it on the first action. Bam. Doesn't that look beautiful? So I've gone with the correct footwork. So I go step. I can have either foot. Bam. And that's it for today. It is 3:30 and I will be off to church. So anyway, I hope... Do you find learners focusing on footwork first? No, actually I find beginners forget footwork entirely. Yeah, it is a picture-perfect cut. It was one of my favourites. Why include an intro? Anyway, yes. So, last note. Learners tend to completely forget footwork, twist themselves awkwardly, and make an embarrassment of themselves. I hope you enjoyed today's live stream. And I shall see you guys later.